The grade cricketer is a Twitter stream. It's about playing cricket at the grade level.
Boys!
Get a few today, did you?
To be honest with you, I hate grade cricket.
I went into to play for a team called the name escaped me.
Obviously, sharing's always a big issue, for young kids coming into a senior cricket team.
I think it was like a wet sleeve.
A bit of advice to the player. That's what I want.
I refer to the great cricketer here and I'll say, this will do a little bit early.
Why does it feel like there's no cricket being played, but everyone is playing everywhere? And we start off right there with England cancelling their tour of Pakistan, the Ashes. What's going to happen there? Some negotiations between Prime Minister. A little will they, won't they? Mooen Ali, he retires in cricket. The streak is over. The ladies have been beaten. Nothing will ever be the same again until the next streak they go on. The Marsh Cup / Sheffield Shield has resumed. What runs count? What runs don't count? South Australia, are they a nation state yet? Do runs count against that nation state? The IPL is going on. All the Aussies are getting pumped. The MCC have changed some laws. Batsman to batter. What? How am I supposed to feel about this? And the county championship final day occurred. We'll go really deep into that before Mickey Arthur comes onto the show. He's coached Sri Lanka. He's coached Pakistan. He coached Australia. He coached South Africa. But we ask him the big questions about what it's like in the showers between all those nations. This episode, as they all are brought to you by Budgie, budgiesmuggler.com. Use the code CHAMP for free custom design. My name is Ian Higgins. Sam Perry is he. Pezzy lad, happy Monday to you, sir. Are you enjoying the cricket?
Well, seems to be a lot of issues, a lot of cricketing issues around and just not a lot of cricket on. This has happened for the last few weeks. I've exited your apartment on, say, a Thursday or Friday and thought, how are we going to fill the show next week? By Monday, all sorts of shit is going on.
Too much to talk about.
But what sort of cricket's going on? Oh, I don't really know. What's the latest in who's pulled out of what?
Yeah.
What does this mean about our two-tiered cricketing economy and broader impacts and revelations about capitalism generally?
My brain is so fried. We had an earthquake 5 days ago. Couldn't tell you a single thing about it. Do you remember an earthquake? I remember it vaguely. All right, England.
Having a tub.
Best was having a tub. England have cancelled their tour of Pakistan. If I can read you a quote, Pez, which sort of sums up the entire mood, from Michael Atherton. A lot of people have heard of him. He wrote an article via The Times. He says, Ramiz Raja, is not the only one left confused, with the British High Commissioner saying that there were no security concerns as far as he was concerned, with Team England player partnership claiming it had not been asked whether players were prepared to play, and with ECB putting the players' mental and physical well-being, inverted commas, at the forefront of the press release. It adds up to one giant question mark. Why exactly was the tour called off? Cricket supporters in Pakistan and England deserve to know. Very fair question. This story is now nearly perfectly 7 days since we published the last podcast, so it's old news now, I suppose, in that sense. But it is nothing short of a farce that England have pulled out of Pakistan, and it's another example of bigger nations outfering smaller nations. Big alpha power play.
There's universal condemnation of this decision in England as well.
Yeah.
More than the New Zealand withdrawal.
Yep.
More than the India withdrawal at Old Trafford. This one has been regarded, I think, as the most egregious example of a decision based on pure self-interest, tenuously explained, with scant regard for the crippling effect that it will have on Pakistan cricket, and not just the cricket, but like the very notion of mutual obligation between nations, between cricketing communities. And maybe it's unfortunate. Joss Butler seems to be the only one who's actually spoken about it. Everyone else is in hiding.
Right, okay.
And this is what Michael Atherton was talking about in his article, which was scathing of the ECB, but particularly scathing of the fact that very little was said about it, and very little has been said since as well. They've just been in hiding. That the headline was that it was ECB's cowardly silence. I don't know if Atherton wrote that, because you often don't write the headline. Joss Butler said, the time is not quite right. And it sort of sums it up a little bit. It's an unfortunate line, but they don't believe in England that this impacts the bottom line, and it suits them in the short term. Sorry, Pakistan, pack 'em.
Yeah.
Your problem,
Pack
not
'em
ours.
Stan.
Pack 'em Stan.
Can you put it to me in great terms? Pack 'em, Stan. Mate, this, like, I have said for years that the word disgrace is horrendously overused. Very few things are a disgrace.
Well, there's something every week lately.
Mate, this is a disgrace. This is an actual disgrace. And mate, you nailed on the head on the same note. No one's spoken about it. Okay, Josh Butler's said his piece on it and used some words which are interesting to be kind to Josh.
Look, this is not, the players often say this is above my pay grade and stuff. Well, I've got a pretty high pay grade these days.
Pretty high
Actually,
pay
the pay
grade.
grade is quite enmeshed within this whole thing.
Hey, the captain's playing some IPL stuff at the moment. Any word from the captain over there?
But this
I've got a few questions about that bloke now. I got a couple of questions about him.
Let's stick with England Pakistan. Yeah, before we get into the Skelton Morgan stuff.
Yeah.
But this is above Butler. This kind of stuff. This is diplomacy between nations.
When the High Commission comes out and just distances themselves from their decision, that was a bit how you going straight away. It's like, well, okay, what?
Fuck, that was a cool clip. I mean, let's be honest. The majority of us don't know what the fuck a High Commissioner does. Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty senior.
Well, mate, what you need to understand
what's
stuff
that?
is that he stands behind some big emboldened like metal plates with like High Commission behind him.
He's wearing he's wearing the garb, the Asian garb, which we want to get for our live streams,
Daniel
but
garb.
don't want to be. Yes. I don't want to be doing anything inappropriately appropriating anything, but he was speaking sort of robustly down the camera, wasn't he? Interspersing a few Urdu sort of language in there.
Some eye contact.
Fuck, he sounded good.
Yeah.
Like if I was Pakistani, I would have been right behind that. But he's like, this isn't us. I'm sad.
Good salad.
Sad as well. Just like
I'm sad.
Yeah, like a diplomat using the most basic emotion that a child uses. I am sad. Oh, that hits you.
Because like
was good.
If he said like I'm incandescent, I'd be like, well, just
shut the fuck up, fucking Etonian.
Yeah, you're either
cunt.
happy or you're either happy or you're sad.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't be anything in the middle.
Yeah, he was sad, and he's right. I am sad.
I'm sad.
This is not me.
I'm sad.
He goes, this is this just reinforces the two-tiered cricket system, like cricket economy, the haves and have-nots, and as an Australian, it's shameful to see what's happening to Pakistan. There's pressure on Australia now. People are putting pressure on Australia now to make sure they do their tour. Anyone who's in the know seems to say like, you are a dumb optimist if you think Australia's going to go there now. All right, well, call me a dumb optimist. Okay, I want them to go.
I want them to go as well.
Yeah. The thing is, he goes, like, this is colder than just like Anglophone democracies deciding who's in and who's out. Like, this is more than, Brexity ideas where we're afraid of each other, we're tapping into, poisons running underneath the surface of society. There was a bit of that with the New Zealand, Pakistan stuff, I reckon. Taliban, what's going on? Maybe this, maybe that. This is just like cold, hard valuing of capital. This is like the content worth the most money is robotically guarded by managerial Ken dolls who believe that, buttressing the short-term bottom line, which they present to the board, is their only job. It's penny wise and pound foolish. The game is lesser for this approach. That you can see the game diminishing before your eyes while all of these executives, all of these boards prioritize their short-term finances because it is at the expense of literally other countries playing.
Yeah.
Like, we cannot run a 3-country system of cricket.
Yeah.
Who does that benefit in the long run?
In the long term, yeah.
Which administrator is out there working in the long run? Somebody stand up, please.
You can argue that in any sort of governance, really, because I mean, you look at a massive issue like global change and global climate change, and like targets by 2050 and stuff, and what that actually means. It's like who you're actually representing, your constituents. You would think that, but it's actually what's the impact right now. And like I don't want to get into like water battery, but you look at what all countries are doing. So, for instance, Gideon Hay has spoken very eloquently in the past about Australia being a very poor international citizen in that sense, where like they haven't toured for ages, where they've played 15 minutes of cricket this year, most of which is on television. That's a separate issue. India have done the same thing with their short form cricket. They got the fuck out of there. They're playing the IPL. Natarajan gets COVID. You're going to cancel the tournament? No, we'll just go in isolation, just sort that out. So everyone's looking after themselves, but this specific tour. And now New Zealand's an interesting one where I feel they've been caught up in a whirlwind a little bit, because like if you get notification that like your team is going to be attacked outside the stadium, that's very different to my specific problem with England is that we knew they were going to do this. It was so obvious that they were going to do it. As soon as New Zealand pulled out, it gave England the perfect excuse to play a tour that they did not want to play. They had no interest in ever playing.
There's still no explanation yet.
And there's no explanation for it. But they just got a little window there. And it's like, I bet you're going to do this. And they did it anyway. And there's been absolutely there's been no communication as to why they have not played. And who suffers? Pakistan. Because now, could you guarantee that Australia's going to go? Well, they've said they're going to go. They're supposed to go there in February. I know it's different, but New Zealand said the same thing a month before that first game. They were still going to go. When the Taliban took over, they still spoke about no, we're still going to go. It was all safe to go. That changed, obviously. But the point being that now Pakistan cricket has been affected to a degree where there's absolutely no guarantee that they'll have cricket again for the next foreseeable future, which is a disgrace.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed our live stream of Chennai versus Kolkata last night. Jadeja bombed a couple. Got some new graphics.
Get those super
contact
chats in.
us if you'd like to discuss some sponsored real estate, and so we can showcase your brand. Greatcricketer@gmail.com live stream. We're doing the IPL every week.
Capitalism rules all.
It's terrible. Anyway, greatcricketer@gmail.com.
Okay, now we talk about the Ashes, Pez.
Yeah, well, it's connected, isn't it?
It is connected because this is the feeling. The feeling that I have is that there's so much cricket going on and all of it is just washing over me entirely because at the same time, no one's playing anywhere. Now, Scott Morrison and Boris Johnson have held negotiations.
Two of the greats.
And I understand now that the ECB are pleasantly surprised with what's on offer.
Apparently. They're the early reports. So Morrison and Johnson, they met in Washington. So ScoMo's fresh.
That's where you go.
From being absolutely rinsed by Joe Biden in the manner that a first grader would a fifth grader, you know?
Yeah.
Someone goes up to Biden at the end of the day's play. Everyone's back at the club, you know? There's been a round of play. Everyone's back at the club.
Yep.
And someone's told the first grader, Biden, go up to the fifth grader and say, oh, you scored runs today. So, yeah, well done, pal.
Yeah.
No idea who it is. So that's Morrison.
Who the fuck is that?
Who the fuck's that bloke? Someone give me a beer.
I've seen you in the third net.
I was going to go somewhere else with that. Johnson and Morrison chat in Washington. They want Boris Johnson is pitching exceptions for England cricketers and their families when they come over for the Ashes, which is fair enough. He's their PM. He goes into bat for them, so to speak. Nice. That's his job.
Hey, cricket.
He gets on the front foot. What sort of wicket is it? Morrison said no, there would be no exemptions. It's complicated because Australia's not even freely letting back its own citizens from overseas, which, and I choose my words carefully when I say this is one of the most disgraceful things I've seen in my relatively short lifetime, politically speaking.
Well, when the Prime Minister said, don't get that vaccine, then it's not a race, that stuff.
So apparently they're getting some sort of resort-wide accom now with families, and the ECB are pleasantly surprised by it, and they're expecting fewer pullouts. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure England players are flavour of the month over in England at the moment as well. I was listening to Mark Butcher on the excellent Wisdom Cricket podcast express his, fury. I think that was a word that he used about the Pakistan pullout. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see who comes. Phil Walker on the podcast as well, who's a friend of our show. He described the upcoming Ashes as a soulless pageant. Yeah. And it feels that way at the moment.
Agree,
but then again, I sigh. He goes, this is what I was thinking. I sigh and I think, yeah, but the sun's out today. I can smell a little bit of the jasmine, and come December, I'm thinking I'm still going to want that chest match cricket, So this is the problem that and I said, chest match cricket. That's what we need to do. And this is the problem, the brain understands that this is all connected to the haves and have-nots, the two-tier cricket system, who's in, who's out, we're all in, is that fine? And then the heart still wants the chest match cricket, It's...
You have no idea how bad it gets. I wish I knew how to quit you.
That's how I feel about Pat Cummins coming in to fucking Sibley or whoever it is, whoever just says they'll put their hand up. It's just I wish I knew how to quit you.
Yeah,
I wish I knew how to quit you. Sorry, let's say like grade cricket. That's how I feel about grade cricket.
Just gets to this time of the year.
Yeah, it's so wrong for me. But I wish I knew.
I don't know if it's wrong. Certainly ain't right. But I got an email during the week from Cricket New South Wales, still on the email from playing days, and they're talking about when they're going to start playing again, and it's looking like maybe sort of late October, early November down there. There's some roadmap shit. And it's just this time of year when it's like, yeah, this is when you get your beach. Well, I suppose you get your beach runs in from sort of July. That's when you really nail down.
You get earlier and earlier.
Your 230 runs a year at 17.
That's right.
I get the beach runs.
Go out to bat at 4 p.m. against Parramatta. Fucking some old bloke spinning a web. You're like, oh, glad I ran those shuttles back in July.
Exactly.
Well set up for this.
Yeah. I got no front foot press still. My hands are split grip, but my hands are split grip. Bloke who's played cricket.
Got the wind whipping through my helmet. My helmet's kind of rattling into my ears. You know, someone's saying something with a Westie accent and that frightens me deep down. I pretend it's not.
Yeah.
Or if it doesn't.
I can't wait to get off this field. I cannot wait to get off this field, but I need to score at least 12 runs, including one boundary, because that'll bring me back next week.
Hit a gap. Can you turn a 1 into 2? Someone from the boundary's calling 2-2, but you can't hear them because you can never hear them. There's wind into your ears and you're running and everything's clanking and jangling. And someone in the pavilion's telling you what to do.
Yeah.
I actually wait for their call. You know what I mean? Have you ever done that? Just sit there in the boundary, like, 2. It's like, they can't hear you. People can't hear you.
My main enjoyment from Saturdays was I was already out and someone had scored runs who was younger and better than me, and the ball would be about between 4 and 6 meters away from the rope. No one's near it. No one's even chasing it.
Yeah.
And I'd get to that point, I'd just yell, save him.
Yes.
That's my role. That was my role in the team. Cost me $600 a year to play.
Of course. Oh, more than that. What about the opportunity cost? What about Rego? What about petrol? It costs you $3,000 or $4,000 a year to play cricket.
Minimum.
Minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, opportunity cost. That just gave me a reminder as well. You talk about like being on the boundary and saying save them. But also, why is it that when you're on the boundary, as in off the field, your team's batting, when the ball's coming towards you, you want that ball more than you ever want it when you're actually fielding?
Oh, yeah.
When you're fielding, you don't want it to come anywhere near you. You don't want to make a mistake.
God,
like
no.
But I'll hurry after that ball, like ponting.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. It's coming. Yeah, I can catch it. Yeah.
Because it's a little moment of we're winning.
Yeah. I just want to touch something.
Oh, yeah, I want to feel
so
something.
Bored. What are they doing with the ball?
So
we can underarm it back to them just at their feet, you know? So you can do something to impact the game.
Yeah.
Anyway, capitalism.
Mooen Ali's retired from Test cricket, so he's not coming out to Australia. And there's a tinge of sadness, I think, with Mooen Ali's Test career. He's 34. He's played 64 Tests, I think it is.
That's right.
Averaged 28 with the bat, 36 with the ball. Middling numbers. I saw a tweet. I've just read it from Rick Finlay on Twitter, and I think it was that he is the only batsman in Test cricket who's played more than 5 times, opening, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. He's the only person to ever do that.
That's pretty cool.
And that's like the thing with Mooen Ali, like how much he was fucked around with, like the England cricket team brought in, do this for us, try him here. How are we going to get the best out of him? And he's 34, and I believe that he specifically cited his concerns about extended time away from family for the upcoming T20 World Cup into the Ashes as part of his reason to just cancel his Test match days. Because obviously he was doing well. He was over there in India and beginning part of this year, and then he was offered the chance to play. They were going to play him, and then he was scheduled to take a break, and so he went home. And this is part of I think he's been. I don't know how unfairly he's been treated by England cricket, but they wanted him in the team, but they didn't know where to fit him in. And he's 34 years old. He could have 4 or 5 years of white ball cricket. Fucking good luck to him. He can play in all the T20 tournaments he likes. He's in the IPL. He's doing great things for CSK, batting 3 for them. Good luck to him.
Yeah, he questioned his ability to focus in the 5-day game. So he leaves Test cricket, as you said, 64 caps, nearly 3,000 runs, 195 wickets. We're going to round them up in a couple of years' time anyway.
100%.
He's 34 years old. You know, I find the nature of the retirement quite interesting, connected to what we're talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are struggling with what's happening with international cricket because the hierarchies of importance are changing before our eyes.
Yeah.
And the way players are seeing the game is part of that as well. You know, you don't... He wouldn't be the first person to retire from red ball cricket to prolong a white ball career or whatever and to return a bit of time to himself. It makes sense. But it's still, if you're of a certain generation, doesn't normally work like that.
Yeah.
You know, you might actually get rid of the white ball stuff to focus on the red ball. But it doesn't really matter. How can you begrudge anything for Mooen Ali? It's one of those ones where it's like, be thankful it happened. Match winner. Always do things the right way. Great to watch. Humble. Elegant. And it's just like good luck to him with whatever he wants to do. Seems like a ripping bloke.
He does sound like a ripping bloke. He it's that question at the moment we've never really seen before, but club versus country is very present in the mind at the moment, given in the context of obviously COVID originally, but then other excuses to not play sort of coming into it. But guys are deliberately choosing, and there's no doubt. And it's interesting we're seeing it firsthand, probably watching the IPL for the first time, like how big that tournament is. And it just makes sense the more you watch it. Of course, we have more of an understanding of what that tournament has for the players, the impact it has and the presence in their mind that it has, that tournament. Why would you want to go into like this bilateral series when
he's on a £700,000 contract in the IPL?
Yeah. So, like,
fucking hell.
And this is and it's only going to get bigger.
How can you begrudge it?
It's only going to get bigger.
Totally.
This is the thing.
I think it's particularly acute at the moment because there's been 2 IPL tournaments this year.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
In a COVID context,
Mate,
it's not going to be that much into the future, but it's the principle of the thing. I know they've got more teams coming in now.
Yeah.
We're wondering if the Taliban are actually going to bid for one.
Yeah.
At the Super
Fucking
auction.
Mental. Where's good at the moment?
Where's good?
Yeah.
You mean in life?
Yeah.
If you're in the hospital equipment business, you'd be making a killing.
Yeah.
I think caps off to Mooen from one brother to another.
Indeed. Now, a series that is actually happening and is a genuine belter. Australian women, India women. The streak is broken, first and foremost. There must have been 26 games in a row they won.
You've watched this quite closely, haven't you?
So the amount of cricket going on, it's the same as watch any sport too much. You're like, geez, I'm tired from it. Now, we're not like necessarily, we're not doing like daily coverage or anything of this Australia-India series. But Friday night, second game, I want to see the team win. I want to see my team win.
Yeah.
Met haven't played in fucking just about a year.
I know those jerseys.
I know the names. They're superstars.
Yeah.
And I want to watch them win. The first game, they towed them up.
Yeah, it was talent.
India, 225 all out. Australia, 227 for 1 in 41 overs. That feels fucking good. I recognise the jerseys. I recognise the hue of the light from Queensland.
You recognise the numbers against the name as well.
A little
Healy,
bit.
Runs.
Yeah.
Yep. Haynes.
Yep.
Lanning.
Yep. Oh, all of it. And then, so the second ODI on Friday night, I watched every single ball, and I'm fucking glad I stuck to the end. It was some of the best entertainment from a cricket perspective I've seen probably since the World Cup in 2019, the Men's World Cup in 2019, and the Ashes and all that summer. It's probably the most entertainment I've watched, including the IPL, all the other shit. It was
more than the
partially,
Big Bash.
Well, the Big Bash does have some good moments. Yeah, cool, especially in the early part of the tournament.
More than grade cricket on Frogbox.
Again, some good clips there as well. Okay, so India, Meg Lanning won the toss. She sent him in.
Game 2, we're talking
Game 2.
Yeah, this is a great game.
This is the great game.
Yeah.
If you're Australian. The third game didn't happen.
What game?
Now, Meg Lanning loves a chase. She averages, I think before this game, she averages like 99 or something chasing. She got out cheaply, and that was part of the problem. Australia were in trouble. They were chasing 274 for 7. Now, Australia ended up winning the game off the last ball. In fact, what I'm going to do is, because I messaged you the next day, I was still hyped up the next morning, and I was a little bit like bleary-eyed, and I just got too excited, and I revealed that I had enjoyed something to you.
Oh, shit.
And I was extremely vulnerable in that moment. Now, let me read the messages.
This hasn't been cleared.
I'm not going to read all of it. Just going through a couple of good teams that I've just seen recently.
Right.
Okay, I've said to you, the last over was fucking hilarious. Pandemonium. So the context of the game, so 274 for 7. Australia need, what was it? They needed 14 off the last over.
Goswami bowling?
Goswami bowling.
She's 34, 38? Julian Goswami?
Is she?
Yeah. She's very senior.
Okay.
And sun smart.
Very sun smart. First ball, Australia run a tight 2.
Yep.
The ball is thrown into the keeper. No one's backing up. The keeper catches it and is taken away from the stumps.
Yep.
She then flicks it at the stumps, misses by 1.5 feet. No one's backing up. They run 3. Now all of a sudden it's like, I can relate to this because I can now see the panic.
Yes.
And
like, oh no.
The oh no feeling that was happening with the Indian team.
You start with 14, you're like, we're in front here, but then something symbolic happens to make you go, the gods are not on our side here because we're making decisions that are bad.
But it was something about, it was just so relatable in the sense of like when I've played like close games of grade cricket, I've just like, I can sense the panic because no one's trained in this scenario. Now, obviously these are professional athletes. They're not grade cricketers. I'm just saying, like, I just see it.
Yeah.
Like I think about,
we're all
like,
human.
I think about the Headingley Test match where like the men, they were like having to watch like the fucking entire last session or whatever that was.
Hey, that was brutal.
I bet they really enjoyed that.
I think in the next game, to be fair to JL.
They did, because Steve Smith scored 200. And Leach bowled a no ball. Anyway, okay, so going back to this message. First ball, Australia run a tight 2. Keeper catches the incoming throw and flicks the ball at the stumps. No one backing up. Australia run 3. So the equation now is that made it 10 off 5. So they must have needed 13 to win. So that made it 10 off 5 instead of 11 off 5. Then Goswami bowls a beamer at Nicola Carey, and it's a genuine beamer. Like, it hit her in like the top of the helmet. She tried to play a hook shot. She was miles away from it. Hands couldn't get through it quick enough. Scary beamer, like the rear guard, neck guard thing popped off. She was fine, but scary shit. Goswami, to her credit, ran straight down and made sure she was okay.
Said you see that.
Next one's not going to fucking be in your half either, Nick. She definitely didn't say that. Okay, so then it makes that would have made it 9 off 5 and a free hit. Okay. Yep. Then the next ball, the free hit, is a perfect Yorker. And for some reason, Australia run a bye. Beth Mooney's on 125, not out. One of the most amazing innings I've seen. At the other end, Bevan-esque, to put it in the male context unnecessarily. But like in terms of the run chase, phenomenal. I
understand it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Left-handed Australian batter. Yeah. So then the keeper throws down the stumps, misses the stumps. Mooney would have been out by like half a pitch. That makes it 8 off 4. They get it down to 3 off 1 off the last over. 3 off 1. And then Goswami bowls this waist-high full toss. Nicola Carey's thinking, you beauty here. This is going to go for 8. Splices it, goes to square leg, caught.
Gone.
And then game over. Celebrations. The streak is over.
Streak's done.
Streak's done. Or is it? Hold on. And then they had to look at the no ball. Now, there's no DRS. Earlier, Nicola Carey was absolutely plumb LBW. There's no DRS because I presume there's no facilities in Mackay for DRS and that kind of shit. Right. So then they had to look at it, and it was a no ball. It was a waist high no ball. It was just above the way. It was close, but it was just above.
A lot of people doing some geometry online. I've seen that. Oh, look, I've just got my someone's gone on to fucking MS Paint and just drawn straight lines. Just see the ball here.
Yeah. Look, watching it live in the replay, it was just above the waist. It was a no ball, but
I saw people going into the laws going, but it says the batter's standing upright. And
it's not upright.
She's bending over.
It's not upright. It's the batting position, which is slightly bent over. Anyway, whatever. Either way, standing up was probably just above anyway. Anyway, so then they had to check if the batters had crossed, which they hadn't. So now Nick Carey's on strike. They need 2 to win.
Can I just ask
and it's
about
a free
that?
hit.
Because I asked you a question about this, didn't I? So because Carey got out of that ball, that was the trigger for being able to review if it was a no ball, right?
I guess so, yeah.
So if she's not out there,
because if she just hit it,
if they bowl the ball, it's above waist, but it's not called, and the say square leg drops it.
Yep.
They won't review that for no ball, right? It was only upon being dismissed that you can then go to the the third umpire, and it was the umpires who refer it, right?
It was the umpires
you can't
who
really
it.
if it's just a no ball, it's not called, and you get 1 off it. You can't then retrospectively go and call a no ball.
Probably not, but there's something about the last ball of the innings which is a bit like, well, I want to check it. I think the law's probably saying you can check it.
It's just even worse luck, It's like,
yeah.
I've actually been penalised because I've gained a dismissal off this.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're coming to cricket for the first time, normal game.
There's a normal game, yeah.
So we've got the
so then they had to check if the batters had crossed because they called that the ball was dead once the ball was taken as a catch.
Yeah.
And so they hadn't crossed, so Nick Carey remains on strike. Now it's 2 to win off the last ball, and it's a free hit.
Right.
She hits it down to long on, and they run 2 and they win the game. It was fucking...
So it's really 2 off 2 there.
It was a hilarious result.
Yeah.
So I've never seen a game like that where you lose the game with a second waist-high full toss of the over. But the general pandemonium and the energy and the chaos of that last over was so relatable in the sense of like no one knows what the fuck to do or how to win. Also, the dew in Mackay late at night, fucking hell. It would have been like a piece of soap. Trying to buy pace with that.
That's why they went to her. I saw that because they had some spinners to go to as well, India, and they went with Goswami because they went with experience, and she hit Sir Yorkers the best apparently. Anyway, in the third game, India won. Not much, much needs to be said.
So,
that was a great. The third game. I mean, that's a sensational comeback from India to get towed up in game one against a team that's got won 24 in a row now, and then to lose inexplicably for Australia to make it 25 in a row.
Yeah.
To come out the game after that 2 days later and it was a record chase for India.
First time they ever chased over 250.
And for Goswami, responsible for the last over, to take 3 for 37 and hit the winning runs over the top. I think that's good. That's some pretty good shit.
Yep.
Okay, a lot of Indian fans out there following us, or audience for these purposes, not fans, saying, the Asian century's begun with women's. Cool our jets.
Yeah.
Cool your jets, okay?
Yeah.
But well done. I think that's a great win. It's good to win when you've got to pick yourself up off the turf.
Oh, 100%. In the space of 36 hours or whatever. Incredible.
Okay, Australia's had a few injuries and stuff. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it wasn't full strength time.
Okay,
I mean,
Flaming,
come on.
Jonathan.
Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Australia now in chaos after winning 26 one days in a row.
The streak's over. I mean, I started the hashtag Matthew Mott out.
He's got to go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lose this.
Why isn't Healy, Lanning, and Perry made runs, big runs? I don't see that. I'm just used to tons next to their name.
Yeah.
What's going on? Test starts on Thursday.
Carrara on the Gold Coast.
Fortress Metricon.
Yes, that's right.
It's a real fortress.
It's a real fortress. Now, speaking of the Asian century there, Pez.
Okay.
I tell you what, it's coming. It's coming with
It's here.
with the Indian women especially. Like Lisa Stalaker on commentary was talking about how Shefali Verma, who's also just signed with the Sydney Sixers for the WBBL this summer, which is pretty cool. Having to get so Stalaker was talking about she had to get a haircut.
Right.
And pretend to be a boy to get a game. Oh. And she pretended to be her brother one game and was man of the match in that game.
Well, she would be
and
technically
she was like,
man of the match.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck, I didn't put that together. And it was when she was like 10 or something like that. And she had to, where she grew up, I think is something like there were no women's teams, so she had to travel like miles away, this sort of shit. It's like, so all the things that have plagued Indian men's cricket for ages in terms of their structural, because obviously like trying to harness the power of a billion people is their greatest asset, right? So, and they haven't quite got that just yet for the women, but like, it's coming.
But there's these origin stories though. I mean, that's even more than the blokes. Like you hear about what a lot of the guys have to do to get noticed in India.
Sure. Yeah.
And now Shefali Verma's having to get her hair cut like a boy to get a game. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
We just got blokes playing emerging blues, under 15, just going to the SCG nets, hitting ball machines straight down. Now, good straight drive.
Hey, hell of a straight drive.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
No one's having to get haircuts to fucking change their identity to get a game.
Mate, that's
how you get hungry.
How big is Cam Green?
Try and get him on the show, actually. That's the next one.
Anyway, that day-night test match starts on Thursday. That's going to be... So the series is fucking awesome. Set up beautifully.
Pink ball under lights.
Pink ball under lights.
Australia's got injury problems as well. Haynes, hamstring concern.
Hey, at least people can't bowl anymore. Of the 3 games that I've seen. Can't bowl anymore.
They're missing Jess Johnson, Higgins, Taylor Vlamic. It's well set up. It's well set up. I'm not writing Perry off at any point.
So Australia have got 4 points. India would have 2 points. The test match is worth 4 points in itself, and there's 3 T20s after that. It's a great series.
Good series.
And Australia are going to win, and I like seeing my team win. All right, the Marsh Cup / Sheffield Shield, Pez. The big one, South Australia versus Western Australia at Karen Rolton Oval. Just shaking your head at all of that. Now,
465 plays 492.
Yeah, and the reason these 2 teams are playing because the other states can't fucking get into the state. So, hey... quite a federation we've got going on here. All the best for England coming out here in their resort-style accommodation.
The right guy scored hundreds.
Yeah, so white ball hundreds for Mitch Marsh, Ryan Philippe, his brother Josh, and Nick Carey's brother, Alex. And then red ball runs. We're going to talk about the red ball runs.
Yeah.
For Sean Marsh, again.
Of course.
Cam Green and Travis Head.
Trav. And... is it Jake Carter?
Jake Carter, yeah. I've not seen him before. He batted 3.
He looked good. I had it on.
Oh, yeah, nice.
On Saturday, looking after my boys, trying to make the biggest submarine in the world, actually, like just totally rearranging the house. Something about kids just like getting under, like just making a fort. Speaking of fortresses, I call it Fortress Metricon. But just have KO on there as well. Hey, everyone enjoys life in their own way.
Is this some China stuff? You building some submarines? Nuclear power?
Hey, mate, if you want to know the value of marketing, like have a child. You can have a kid who's mucking up, hiding between the lounge, but put a little sheet over the top of it, call it a fortress. All of a sudden, he's fucking happy as Larry. That's marketing 101.
Patreon.com/great cricketer.
Indeed. So I had it on, and the thing that stuck out to me, he goes, is a Karen Rolton Oval.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any Australian men's cricket for a long time.
No.
And like, it feels like an age since cricket was on in Australia.
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
we've
yeah.
had the fortune of following quite closely.
Yeah.
England going over to India, then India coming over to England. And then when you contrast like just the breadth of skill that those two separate climates require to play cricket.
Yeah.
Spin, nibbling it around, swing. Sometimes it's flat. Then you just see some stuff at Karen Rolton Oval, and like it's like that's Australian cricket right there. Like it's just flat. It's dead. Guys play with very straight bats. And it's, there's a lot of men in front of the wicket, both sides,
Mate,
stump to stump. But
Fucking the kookaburra. Yeah.
it is a kookaburra, and it's like it's an absolute war of attrition.
Yeah.
And 465 plays 492. The second innings as well. I think WA going for some quick runs there. Hilton Cartwright hit a ton.
Nice.
So Marsh Green, Head Carter hundreds. Head got the daddy.
Yeah.
Heady got the daddy.
163.
Yeah, Head went daddy. Josh Phillips 70 odd. That looked good. He was
Head went
just pumping blokes. I said that some couple of New South Wales guys are playing Queensland grade cricket now. It's all weird and a little bit, I don't know.
It's dystopian.
New South Wales and Victoria are just going to have to play each other like 17 times to warm up for the Ashes.
Hey, I got to respect Travis Head scoring runs. I mean,
Yeah.
he's probably the favourite to bat 5. I mean, they want him in the team, and unfortunately for Travis, he plays for a state which means he can't face South Australia.
Do you want to though? Like, yeah.
At this point,
you get 100s, but then if 3 other guys get 100s,
mate,
well, it's like getting a 50.
Yeah, it's like okay, that was the bare minimum that I had to do.
That's what happened last year. Like Marcus Harris scored all these runs, but the bloke at the other end hit double hundreds.
Yeah.
Bukowski.
Yeah.
So
And then Hanscom was batting 3, couldn't get in.
mate, it's just value in the currency. He's like, what's that worth?
Yeah.
What's it worth against the US dollar?
China's now banned all crypto.
Yeah.
So
Has it?
yeah, but El Salvador has sanctioned Bitcoin.
Well, it had to do something.
Had to do something. El Salvador. They
Absolutely.
they had to do something. I mean, they couldn't do nothing. El Salvador.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So you're looking forward to more Sheffield Shield Marsh Cup action at Karen Rolton Oval?
Well, mate, is there a sport that you want to keep, that demands you keep half an eye on, when the scores come up? I want to see, I want names, I want numbers, I want to feel safe.
Mate,
That's all I ask for.
I didn't watch any of this.
You have no idea how bad it
Shield
is.
again. Just shield the Copeland 3-5. This is what I need.
Yeah.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
I'm sorry, mate. After last year in Adelaide, I've quit Sheffield Shield. I literally look at the scores. I look at the names.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I saw Alex Carey got like 37 the first innings. Like he's failed there. He's failed with 37.
There was about 18 keepers in that game, all vying for the next spot as
True.
well. Because Payne did his Gregory Peck.
All right, the IPL, Pez.
IPL?
Now, that's the thing that's going on.
Yeah.
Now, if you are keen to stay across the IPL, we are doing a whole bunch of content on YouTube. But if you want to get the audio, if that's how you listen to TGC, that's how you consume TGC, patreon.com/Grey Cricketer for $5 or $10 US a month. You get all the audio for all the shows we're doing, of which is about 7 shows per week. I think we're doing about 5 for the IPL, 4 for the IPL, something like that.
4 audio shows, and we do a live stream on a Sunday.
That's right. Plus, you get #AskTGC Fridays every week if that's what you want. Anyway, you had the IPL. All the Aussies are getting pumped. Dave Warner can't bat anymore. Steve Smith's not playing. Stoinis is injured.
Hoff got pumped.
Nathan Ellis got a game.
Yeah. He's doing the best. Maxwell got some runs last night.
Maxwell got some runs last night, but he's looked really angry, especially Tim David for some reason.
It's quite humid. Maybe he just doesn't like the humidity.
But I suppose the story of the IPL so far is, not so far, but at the moment, is there's a real battle for basically, RCB won last night, so they've sort of solidified third spot a little bit, but there's basically 5 teams vying for 2 spots, third and fourth, because Delhi and Chennai are by far the standout teams. Delhi is Ricky Ponting's coach team, so Steve Smith plays, where Stoinis is playing as well from Australian lens. They've also got Rabada, they've got Nortje, and they've got about 5 or 6 amazing Indian batters. So they're good. But
does this mean anything to anybody? Is it for the purposes of this show, what does it all mean? Delhi is Ponting. Delhi is the blue team. They need to win. They haven't won before. They're top of the table.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
CSK knows how to win. They've got old blokes. Somehow they do it.
Yeah.
KKR's not bad. RCB are the vibe team with De Villiers and Kohli and Maxwell. All to play for at Dubai, Sharjah, and of course the fortress Sheikh Zayed Stadium.
Got to tell you, like, where games are played, the lifelessness of the UAE.
Talk about a soulless pageant.
I tell you what,
Tell you what. And we also have some real estate available for that live stream.
So
30,000 views the other night.
this,
Oh, bird.
40 actually.
Fuck me.
So where the games are played matters so much, and I can understand why Pakistan are now basically refusing, as Zainab Abbas said last week, that she was suggesting that Pakistan weren't going to play any
they
games.
just don't like the decks there.
Because as soon as you go, it's not about getting a game. It's like the decks are too flat.
They're actually not. The decks there. Shane Watson explained to us on our show that the decks in the UAE have good variety across the three. That they have more variety there. There's a my words on his than they would in Australia. So
well, yeah, with the drop-ins now, fuck me.
The D's went well this year.
Hey, the D's really good. When the World Cup, because the World Cup's obviously in the UAE as well, where this IPL has been played.
Yeah.
Is that going to add more like pageantry to this affair? There's the same amount of people are going to be able to go. It's like at certain grounds, there's like a couple of thousand can go.
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I think for the purposes of this show, the main point with the IPL is that if it is any barometer, and Australian cricket told us that the players wanted to go there because it was going to be better preparation for the T20 World Cup than playing for their nation. Take it at face value. I just think they're free to exploit their labour how they want, and when you're on $700K a year, if you were them, you'd do the same thing, right?
I would.
The Australians are not performing very well.
No, that's
David
the issue.
Warner.
Yeah,
David Warner is not scoring runs.
Yeah.
And when he does score runs, which is, he scored a couple of 50s this in 2 tournaments now.
Yeah.
Two split
got
tournaments.
2 50s out of 10 games.
He's striking at 108. He's already been dropped once. There's a bit going on at his franchise because he was the king of Hyderabad. Like it's sort of built around him, but now he's a leper. And the other thing is Stoinis, who's very important to the Australian T20 setup somehow, who's now sort of remoulded as a finisher.
Yeah.
He's done a hammy. Steve Smith's not getting a game for Delhi. Who else? Maxwell's doing okay.
Maxwell's doing okay.
Cummins isn't there at the moment. Nathan Else is getting a game. Hazelwood is they went after Hazelwood last night. Like they were the one like, oh, we're going to smash you.
He's taken a bit of tap in the games. The 3 games he's played for CSK so far. He hasn't bowled badly, but they're lining him up as the weak link, which is interesting.
I think the point is when this T20 World Cup comes around and the nation rightly expects us to be in the mix,
At least semi-final.
so we should. The truth is that there's nothing in terms of player performance to indicate that we would be. It really is like a. I hope Stark starts to swing him. And he might.
Well, I'm sure once they get into camp, they'll sort of all come together and.
Well, are they going via Gallipoli or something? We fucking need something. The team needs something. What's happened? Oh, I knocked the camera. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, that's the IPL.
That is the IPL.
Other things, Pez. Law changes.
Oh, yep.
So the MCC have changed laws from batsman to batter. Jamie Cox, MCC Assistant Secretary, use of the term batter is a natural evolution in our shared cricketing language, and the terminology has already been adopted by many of those involved in the sport. It is the right time for this adjustment to be recognised formally, and we are delighted as the guardians of the laws to announce these changes today. I don't know if you know this, but in 2017 they actually discussed, the MCC met and discussed with senior figures in women's cricket that the terminology would remain as batsman at that time, and now they've met again. They've decided to change it. Mate, I am really keen to go really deep into this because this is a really heavy, important issue about what word we use to describe a person who's like hitting it with the stick.
I think language matters. I just don't. It's not hard. I don't think it's going to hurt to change. I don't think it's going to precipitate legislation of bestiality, as Corey Bernardi suggested maybe 10 years ago about same-sex marriage.
Ah, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I don't think it's a big price to pay just to change a habit.
Yeah, but what about like third man? What are you going to do about that now?
I don't know.
Yeah, well.
If it helps people feel part of the game. Maybe some people, maybe it might not too, but I don't think you lose much. I don't think it's chipping at the foundations of society that much. Yeah,
but you might bring someone else in, but you might lose me. I don't want to say batter. It's a man who's hitting that. It's a man's job to bat for his country. Okay? So I'm going to say batsman. What do you have to say about that? I'm gonna leave this game. I'm not gonna watch this game anymore. You're gonna call it batter?
What if they just called it Batman?
Bat boy. All right, the final day of the county championship. Warwickshire have won the county championship. My take of this is that Chris Wokes bowled one of the most ridiculous balls to Craig Overton I've ever seen, and Ollie Pope hit 274 for Surrey.
Bresnan's a friend of the show. Well done. I see that they pipped Lancashire by 3.5 points.
Make of that what you will.
Make of that what you will. Well done, Warwickshire.
All right. Now, we spoke to Mickey Arthur. We got into all sorts of areas. He's a great chat, and I really enjoyed this, so I hope you guys will as well. But, of course, before we get to that, we need to speak to and for our best friends, Budgie Smuggler at budgiesmuggler.com. Use the code CHAMP for free custom design. What do you want to talk about this week, Pez? Anything caught the eye this week?
We're coming into summer. You can smell the jasmine in the air. Well, no, and I know if you're from Sydney or any place that's not Melbourne, you've been smelling summer for quite a while.
Princess Jasmine.
Australia. Indeed. And
I've been smelling Princess Jasmine.
It was Princess Jasmine from Abu Dhabi, because that's where I want to talk about. I want to talk about the T10 League, and I want to talk about Marlon Samuels being charged with, let's get this right, under the Anti-Corruption Code for a ban on breaching regulations. And I'm not going to say exactly when he did it, but the charges include failing to disclose receipt of any gift, payment, hospitality, or other benefit that was made or given in circumstances that could bring. So he's done some shit.
Yeah.
And Marlon Samuels, what a colourful figure. I feel like we could focus on him.
Yeah,
a little bit. I mean, hasn't he given us some moments?
He's
Marlon?
given us some moments. Now, either Marlon, this one's less likely. Either he's going through some stuff, because we've seen some behaviour over the last, let's call it a year, where it's a bit like, I don't know if you're okay.
Yeah.
Or you're just a shit bloke. Now,
Right.
I lean towards the latter because there's a lot of guys who just don't rate it, As a bloke, don't rate it.
He doesn't get good reviews.
Does Shane Warne in a Big Bash game grab Marlon Samuels' jumper and go, fuck you, Marlon, in a game on the MCG? Does he do that?
Warne is the arbiter of good and bad blokes.
No, well, I don't know. I've seen Warne do a lot of funny shit.
Yeah.
And that wasn't particularly funny, and it was a bit like, oh, okay, there's something going on with this bloke. And then the whole Ben Stokes thing with Samuels,
See, I liked that.
on the field, but then he was talking about like Stokes' wife and shit. Remember that?
I don't like that.
I didn't rate that. So that's where you get into like the shit bloke areas, right?
It's pretty funny doing a military salute to send somebody off. That is really funny. But especially, I don't know.
So sextillion seventh power.
Well, the sextillion seventh power. I thought that was a contribution to the game.
So that was a contribution to the game. That was funny.
I think triggering Shane Warne to say, fuck you, Marlon, I think that's funny.
Yeah, but
and he threw his bat. Yeah, I know. But coats are endemic in the game. You have to have a relationship to it. You have to find your relationship to it.
You have to find your coat.
Sextillion seventh power, sending Ben Stokes off with a military salute. He's obviously a coat, but there's something kind of funny about it. Corruption of the Abu Dhabi T10 League. Yeah. Now that's not a laughing matter. Allegedly, the charges. It's just a charge.
What was a great contribution I thought was when he went on Instagram and he was filming himself watching him hitting Warne for boundaries, and he was saying, "Who's this? The great Shane Warne? Couldn't be. Back-to-back boundaries off the great Shane Warne? Incredible."
So, just an inspiration idea for your custom design. Maybe you're an anarchist. Maybe you like to be a bit contrarian or oppositional to people. Perhaps you'd like a few Marlon Samuels moments. A Marlon Samuels military salute to Ben Stokes. Maybe it's Marlon Samuels sextillion seventh power.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Marlon Samuels watching himself smash Warne. A couple of ideas for custom design. You can get all of that at budgiesmuggler.com. Use the code CHAMP for free shipping. That's at budgiesmuggler.com. And here goes, can I say something here? A very special introduction to the Mickey Arthur interview.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. We have a very special new partner on the Grade Cricketer. And this won't surprise many people, actually, but it's a privilege for us to be able to introduce this partner who will be bringing you the interview every week.
Nice.
It is T20 Stars, which is, of course, owned and run by Shane Watto Watson. Right? Now, I want to take you under the hood here, he goes. We're not going to do a really long ad for them every week or whatever.
Lift the hood, baby.
Lift the hood. we've been working with Shane and his wonderful wife, Lee, for quite a while. They've been so excellent to work with. They've been coming onto the show, other stuff we've been doing together, and it's been great to learn about T20 Stars and the idea behind the company. Because it's completely informed by Shane's experience of playing cricket. The basic idea with T20 Stars is to lessen the absolutely astronomical cost of cricket kit, which has been, I guess, perverted by a number of factors we're going to get into in a moment. But they're so great to deal with. And to lift the hood a little bit, the deal was that we'd, for various other things, we would talk about T20 Stars before we do our interview, right? And when you deal with people sometimes, when they send you a script, he goes beforehand. You might have said beforehand, like, no, we'll just talk conversationally about it. You can tell Budgie doesn't give us a script anymore. Maybe they should.
That old Marlon Samuels bit was completely...
that was scripted.
Well, we nailed
Linny wrote that word for word. They send you a script and you go, oh, I'm worried. More like I'm worried because, am I going to be able to pull that off without it sounding really tight? But Shane, the manager of T20 Stars, Lee Watson, Shane's wife, has sent a script and it's a ripper.
It's good.
And I want to get into it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Let's dissect it.
Yeah, let's do the script and let's get conversational about it. So here's the script. We have an important message for all of our listeners out there to let you know about Australia's first ever direct-to-consumer cricket gear company called T20 Stars.
Sounds good so far.
That's very clear.
Yeah.
Very clear. Yeah. Direct-to-consumer. We can talk about that. I think it's time, this is the script, I think it's time we have an honest chat about the inflated prices of cricket products, largely due to all of the markups that is ripping off our fellow grade cricketers.
Relatable.
Can we get behind that?
Relatable. Making cricket affordable. I can get behind that. I mean, the last thing I want to do is waste money. I waste my time as much as I want. Waste me money? Get out of here.
I mean, if you're in England, you can't even afford petrol because there is none.
Yeah.
There's no petrol.
Can I get a lorry driver?
There's supply chain issues.
Yes.
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 You got Rego in Australia. You got the cost of afternoon tea.
Tim Tams.
You got fines if you're late, according to the official timekeeper, and he's always a bit of an arsehole.
Yeah, he's a bit of an arsehole.
You got the end of season trip.
Yep.
And kit, you want a good stick these days. And if you are a great cricketer, you lie to yourself.
Yes.
You tell yourself you're a couple of scores off professional cricket. Therefore, you should have professional equipment.
Yeah.
What does professional equipment set you back? Multiple thousands of dollars.
Yes.
For people, and this is the paradox, for people who spend an amount of time playing cricket that precludes them from having jobs that allow them to pay for that kit.
What a paradox.
How are you meant? It's a trap.
Yeah, it is.
It's a trap.
It is.
The OECD have already said many years ago that the time to play grade cricket is equivalent to a part-time job.
Right.
That's about 24 hours a week. That's part-time work.
Part-time work.
And you're paying to do that. How are you meant to afford the kit to do so?
And the kit that you're buying that you think is going to be like, oh, if I got what the bat that Travis Head's using, that will be the thing.
That's right. Homer's Wonder Bat,
which
was a good stick, by the way.
That was a good stick.
And he made that himself, so that's not really the point. Don't worry about making your own stuff. Instead, Shane Watson has seen all of this and he's played some grade cricket. When he came back to play grade cricket, he fit right in. Except for not being aware that he actually played on 2 Saturdays in a row, apparently.
Yeah. And don't wear your baggy green.
Exactly. You wouldn't tub with him. But just because it's a good rig, right? But what he's done is he's observed this and he's gone, can you make cricket kit that is fit for purpose for a grade cricketer, very, very good gear, and can you do it at an affordable price? How do you do that? And all he's done, he's just worked out that if you take away the middle person in this, so the cricket gear goes straight from the manufacturer, well-made stuff, to you, then you can have your bat, which is a very, very good bat. I've got it and I've used it, truly. You can have that for at an affordable price, less than half the cost of cricket kit. That's going to change the game. That's what these guys are doing. And can I just say, and on top of that, can I just get this in here? Free shipping and free returns.
Free shipping, free returns.
Free returns. It's for Australians only at the moment, okay? But the products are made from one of the best cricket manufacturers in the world. Can I just say, I have used the stick. Didn't have to knock in. You don't have to do that anymore. Face Peter Hatsa glue with it. I've got some footage. Going to release it. We're going to do a bat review. And no problem with the middle. Truly, it's as good a bat as I've had for a long time.
Sounds
and
good.
you just get it, and you get it for half price or less. You can get that at www.t20 T20stars.com. He goes, I'll just continue on with this. I don't think this was in the plan of the Watsons. It's a complete coincidence, but the first interview following this wonderful endorsement for T20 Stars is with Mickey Arthur. Has anybody been more enmeshed within more international cricket dressing rooms than this man? He has seen it all. South Africa, Australia, Pakistan, now Sri Lanka. Within that, WA, Karachi, Dhaka. And now, and how he's sort of somehow managed to professionally coach without a test to his name. We'll have to ask him about that. In researching for the interview, I read the following. He goes, one thing is for certain. Someone wrote this. This man knows how to work over even the most hard-bitten reporter. There is no pretense with him. His affable demeanour and accessibility ensures he's one of the best in the business fronting the press. And this will be a hard-hitting interview. So with that in mind, coming to us from Colombo, it's our pleasure to catch up with Mickey Arthur on The Grade Cricketer. Mickey, welcome.
But thanks for having me, guys. I follow you guys religiously. You give me a laugh every day with your tweets, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you guys today.
All right, well, we're eating out of the palm of your hand now. I'll just scratch half of these questions. Mickey, you had a 15-year first-class career as a player, and then 4 years later, you're South Africa coach. You've basically been on the international circuit for 15 years with only a couple of interruptions there. Do you have any relationship at all to club cricket around the world, or did you just skip it?
No, I didn't skip it. I paid my penance to club cricket around the world. I think club cricket around the world. I mean, that's the breeding ground of cricket, and I'm still linked to Claremont Netherlands Cricket Club in Perth, and so whenever I'm back there, I'm down at Claremont Netherlands watching the boys on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and thoroughly enjoy it. That's the lifeblood of cricket. That's almost cricket personified, and whatever happens after that, players are privileged to be part of. And sometimes I think the professional game has kind of slighted a little bit on when I started playing club cricket, we were, it was the whole provincial team were playing, or state team. So on a Saturday afternoon, you'd have these massive battles with guys that you were playing your provincial cricket with, and then go back to training with them on a Monday again. And that's kind of how I came through the system. And it's a little bit sad that the young boys in grade cricket at the moment don't have that interaction all the while with the state or the international players.
We go straight into the beginning part of your coaching career, Mickey, when you were looking after South Africa. And it might be the pinnacle, I don't know, you tell me, but that game in 2006 when South Africa chased down 438, I mean, that must have been one of the all-time greatest halftime team talks. When you've come in and the boys have just gone for 437, and then what have you just said? Like, I reckon they're 20 short here.
20 short.
Yeah. Like what did you say at half time?
I'll tell you what, I actually didn't know what to say. I'll chronicle the day's events where the series is 2-2. I mean, it's a wonderful series. It's like the grand final, South Africa, Australia. We haven't beaten Australia much at that time. At the Wanderers, full crowd. And I remember Australia just coming out. Ricky Ponting was sublime, and everybody just absolutely smoked it. And they ended up with 434. And I remember there was so the South African cricket team was sponsored by Standard Bank at that time, and they had this mascot called Stan the Duck. And Stan the Duck, he sort of mingled or with all the people coming through the gates, etc. And he was dressed in this blue and yellow duck outfit. And I remember at the lunch break turning, and there was Stan the Duck sitting with his head in his hands. And I thought, geez, if Stan the Duck's feeling this, we're under pressure. The boys came in the dressing room, and it's been well documented. But Jacques Callis sort of took his boots off and threw his boots in the corner and said, "Oh, coach, I think it's up to the batsman now. I think the bowlers have done their job." And that got a bit of a laugh going, and then it sort of calmed the atmosphere because everybody was a bit shell-shocked. And then I used to stand up in those days, and we used to set these targets. I had this target board up, and I remember looking across the room to Herschel, who was putting his pads on. and I put the targets up, and I thought, sure, but this is a bit steep. You know, it was like 100. We want to be 100, and I think it was 160 after 20 overs or something ridiculous. And I said, yeah, but we don't want to be too many wickets down. That, burst out laughing, you know. And I thought, stuff it, boys. Let's just go and play and see what happens. And of course, the rest is history.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
When you were coaching South Africa, I know you had a relationship with Nelson Mandela, and I think it was before the 2007 World Cup. You and Graham Smith had a meeting with him, and he also took the team into his home after a New Zealand series win, I think it was. I mean, did Nelson Mandela have this sort of like aura, or I guess what I'm asking is what was Nelson Mandela like as a bloke is my basic answer, but question rather. But tell us about Nelson Mandela.
What a wonderful man! To have gone through what he went through, to come out with sort of no recrimination, if you like, to build a country from almost ground zero. He was amazing. And he did have that aura. When you went into his home, when you met him, when he spoke, you kind of listened, and he was phenomenal. And the thing that struck me about him was he was incredibly knowledgeable about cricket. So he had known. So we beat New Zealand, and we went into his home as a team, and he invited us in, and there was tea and whatever, and he sat there. And he knew what had happened in the last sort of 2 months of our international cricket. He knew who had bowled well. He knew who had batted well. Now, I don't know if he was fed that information before we came in, but it just made such an impression. Here was Nelson Mandela, the president of the country, with so much on his plate, yet he understood and knew exactly who our leading performers were, who had done well, what our results were, and that was just mind-blowing, So he was so impressive, and I feel honoured and privileged to have met him.
And yet, Mickey, as you would know, so many complexities still remain in many countries, in relation to racism, racial equality. And we talked to Firdaus Munda a couple of months ago about the Social Justice and Nation Building Committee inquiry in South Africa, and some pretty harrowing stuff coming out of that, like allegations from Paul Adams that Mark Boucher, the current coach, partook in team songs with some pretty difficult lyrics to read, and I, as somebody who is in and around the team, what is it that we need to understand outside South African cricket about the complexities within that, and your experiences of that?
Look, there are a huge amount of complexities, and it's sad to see where South Africa cricket's going now with their whole social. Because I would have thought, since 1992 was unity, and you kind of think that where we now we 2021, we 29 years post unity. I would have thought that would all have been ironed out by now, and South Africa would be one nation. So when I read all that stuff, it affects me. It does affect me. It affects me greatly, because I knew all those people. I knew all the people that are being incriminated and whatever. And it is tough. When I coached South Africa, we used that to. I kind of thought we used that to our advantage. We thought, okay, well, we're the Rainbow Nation. There's no nation in world cricket that has the diversity that we have. So you've got the unbelievable natural talent of the African black. The Makai Antini running into bowl, natural athlete, strong. The coloured community of South Africa is a wonderfully skilled. They've got great skills. You watch them with playing soccer, playing cricket, playing rugby, whatever they do, they've got great skills. The Asian, you think of Hashim Amla, the Asian community, you think of the wristiness of Hashim Amla, how he sort of brings that subcontinent element to the South African side. And then you had the English white-speaking people, which are a little bit different to the Afrikaans white-speaking people. The Afrikaans white-speaking people, very disciplined, a little bit conservative, but very respectful. And then the sort of English-speaking South African fits more on the sort of happy-go-lucky scale, if you like. So what we tried to do was we tried to put that all in the melting pot and say, well, that's our competitive edge. You know, there's no other country in the world that is able to gel all these wonderful talents together. And we kind of try to use that as our edge against our opposition. You know, my time with South Africa was incredibly rewarding. I loved every minute of it, working with a great leader in Graham Smith and some unbelievably good players. I wasn't a particularly good coach then. I was wet behind the ears. You know, Graham and I kind of grew up together. I remember coming to Australia, our first tour in 2006. And we were very British, and we arrived there, said we're here to beat Australia. And I think Shane Warne sent us off with, you the worst team that's ever arrived on these shores. So you know, we kind of had to go and regroup after that and thought, sure, but maybe we're not as good as we think we are. And so we evolved, and that led to the year in 2008, where we beat England in England for the first time, and we beat Australia in Australia for the first time. And those were all the lessons we learned, I guess, in our formative years together. So that was a wonderful time. But you know, I sit here a far better coach now. As you know, you can't go into Woolworths and buy experience. You know, I wish you could go and buy a little can of experience and give it to all the players. But unfortunately, you can't do that. You know, experience is gained through encounters and through things that you go through, and hopefully that allows me to tutor our players a lot better.
You're so right, Mickey, there where you're saying that, I mean, South Africa have had so many great teams for decades, you know, and especially white ball players as well. And you obviously led the team to the 2007 World Cup, and you made it again to a semi-final where you came up against Australia, bowled out for 150, I think, or something like that. Sorry. I was just cheerleading for Australia for once. But did you get any sense that, you know, South Africa maybe had some mental scars or some demons, you know, or was it just that, you know, in World Cup, South Africa just kept coming up against like essentially Hall of Fame Australian teams almost every 4 years?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because you know I've been through that in my mind so much as to why at the crux, almost the pressure points. I mean, South Africa, we always went into every World Cup as a number one ranked side. So in a bilateral series, we would beat most teams in a bilateral series, you know, because I guess you're allowed to slip up in a game, but you can still win it 4-1 or still win it 3-2. But when it was crux time, a semi-final or something like that, it was bewildering why we didn't get over the line. And I guess we need to, and maybe a bit of it's come out in the Truth and Justice, you know, in commissions. Maybe we needed to peel back a lot of. And I say peel back a lot of stuff and go very deep in terms of the team being one. You know, I'm not sure if that's right or wrong, but I've listened to Ashel Prince speak, and Ashel Prince speaks unbelievably well. And I've heard his feeling around that 2007 World Cup semi-final, and perhaps we didn't dig deep enough before that game. And I think that's possibly a possible reason why South Africa have come short. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. But it has to be something, you know.
Mickey, you'll note we've tried to interrogate the weaknesses of South African culture. We'll move on to Australia now. We have more questions about that. So we're even-handed.
Why are we so good?
Yeah, exactly. So, Mickey, in preparing for this interview, I was listening to one you did recently, and when you started with the Australian national team, you said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you said you found a selfish and an entitled culture among I think it was just among Cricket Australia, maybe, the players and broadly. I mean, that doesn't ring true to me at all.
Oh, no.
You also said you said you wished you'd taken more time to familiarise yourself with Australian cricket and how Australian cricket worked before taking the job. Now that you've been in the hot seat, what can you tell us about how Australian cricket works, and what would you have done differently in the job?
Look, that's my one biggest regret, because that was the one that didn't work for me. Now I'm Australian. I've got an Australian passport. My home's in Perth. So you know, I'm Australian in virtually every way now, and to not have made that a success was pretty disappointing. Look, I do think it came in at a really tough time. You know, we got to think there was the August Review, there was the first full-time convener selectors, John Inverarity. There was the first-time director of cricket in Pat Howard. The coach got a lot more power than before in terms of selection, and then you had a captain that also got a little bit more power. So the first little bit was trying to, I guess, find what the barriers were, what were all our roles, and how did they all interlink, and what were our boundaries in terms of those roles. So that was quite an interesting start, and I think we had some good characters there. So we got through that pretty quickly. With the team, I did find that, you know, I did find it. My biggest mistake was I thought I could run the team like I ran South Africa, but I couldn't. The South African team was in a totally different place than the Australian team. The South African team was a young team, learning its way. You know, Graham Smith was very young at that time. There was a young A.B. de Villiers, young Hashim Amla, young J.P. Dumney, young Dale Steyn, young Morne Morkel. You know, it was it was totally different, and I kind of thought that there was a parallel to, and I sort of thought in my time where I wasn't experienced enough, thinking that there was only one way to run a cricket team, you know, and in hindsight, I should have sat back and watched it unfold. There were power struggles within that team, you know, and you know, I don't have to mention it. People would know what I'm talking about. And there was an interesting dynamic within that team at the time. I did think I did find the players slightly entitled and kind of thought the world just revolved around them. They kind of forgot that there was an outside world as well, you know. And you know, I often spoke to them about being caught up in the bubble before the bubbles became reality. They were like bubble of the international bubble, you know, where the team kind of existed in isolation to the rest of the world, if you like. And you know, perhaps I could have done a whole lot of things different. Homework gate is obviously the elephant in the room. If I had it again, would I have done what I did? Probably not. You know, in hindsight, what we did was far too harsh. I have to say, it was left to me to make the decision, though. After taking a lot of information from a lot of other people who all backed the decision I was going to take, but then kind of ran for the hills once it was taken. So would I do it again? Probably not. And in hindsight, it was a bit harsh. I did think, though, it was a time for us to put a stake in the ground with the Australian cricket team. That it was a time for us just to pull it all together and make sure that it was a team then that sort of went in one direction. And I thought that could be the catalyst to the team eventually flying in formation and achieving the results that they should have done.
Mickey, I mean, there's so many things within that. One thing that I'm particularly interested in is that difference between the professional coach. I mean, you've got 21 first-class hundreds to your name over a 15-year career, though it strikes me that in certain countries, and we'll come to this a little bit later as well, you know, I guess what I want to know is how many times did an Australian player, when you challenge them, say back to you, how many fucking tests have you played?
They didn't do that, but I saw them thinking that. Yeah, definitely. And you know, that's the one thing that upsets me a little bit. Coaching is a professional career. You know, I did with all the footy coaches now, and you know, Colton, I see just employed Foss. You know, I'm always there for the career coach. I'm there for the guy that does it as a profession. And I don't think your best genius players make particularly good coaches because they've never struggled through the hard times. They don't understand man management. A lot of them don't understand communication. Man management and communication are your two biggest assets as a head coach. if you haven't got those, you could have played 150 tests. You won't have any success, or you won't have any long-term success. And I'm in it for the long haul. You know, it's about sustaining a career and being consistent with your messaging and consistent with your behaviors. And I think people that, you know, and some do it. I think Ricky Ponting's a wonderful coach. You know, because Ricky Ponting, he understands the game backwards, but he can communicate. He communicates it so well. So it doesn't preclude the genius player from being an excellent coach. But I sometimes think that the average player becomes a better coach because he knows what it's like to struggle, and he knows what it's like to, you know, I often think of who was the best coaches I had, who made the biggest impression on me. And I try and take all the good that they gave me from that. And then I think of who were the guys that I didn't enjoy and didn't get on. Okay, I'm not gonna do what they did, because there's no sustainable success with that.
You might say that, Mickey, but I mean, the other day, you know, Ian Chappell summed up bowling and fielding in cricket by saying, why don't we just hit the top of off with the occasional bouncer, hold on to our catches, and if we do that, we can knock the top off of one at the end of the day and have a beer. So, you know, if that's cricket, then what business does a coach have being part of the side at all?
What was it? I think was that Greg Chappell?
No, Ian, his brother.
I think Ian is the one guy to say, isn't the coach the thing that the boys get into and drive to the ground on that? I have news for Ian Chappell. It's a lot deeper than that, and there's a hell of a, and ultimately that's the essence. You know, the same conversation you have down at Claremont, Netherlands on a Saturday afternoon. We'll hit the top of off and we'll have a couple of beers afterwards. That's in essence that's what we're coaching. But there's a massive method to get there. There's identifying the right players. There's all the skill training that needs to go into it. There's running the organization. Then there's the strategizing. Then there's the continual strategizing of your team, analyzing of the opposition, putting a game plan in place, creating a brand that your team can play to, because using what you have at your disposal. There's then the consistent messaging. There's consistency in selection. There's just a whole host of things that goes into running a successful cricket team. And I'm talking as head coach. Line coaching is a little bit different, you know, where you just knuckle down with the guys that are the batting coach works with the batsman, and the fast bowling coaches with the fast bowlers, and the spin coaches with the spinners. For me, as head coach, is running and putting that whole ship together and keeping that ship going on the right course. There's a hell of a lot of hours that go into that in a week, I promise you.
It's interesting you say that player identification, because I feel like this current Australian team, possibly in all three formats, still feels the void of Philip Hughes, and obviously first and foremost as a person. Like the sadness isn't that he never eventuated to get all the test runs and stuff. The sadness is that he lost his life. That's an obvious thing to say, but an important thing to say. But he was obviously an important part of your team, especially in India as well. But you know, like was his like sort of vision for his life to be the guy who played 140 test matches for Australia? Was sort of what was planned for Phil Hughes?
Oh, without a doubt. He was a wonderful, wonderful young man. You know, I had three very impressionable daughters at that time who travelled with me, and I remember us having Christmas lunch with Phil and his family. You know, the Boxing Day lunch is, the Christmas lunch before the Boxing Day test, and you know, you sort of get designated a table, and I had my family with me, and we ended up sitting with the Hughes family. And we ended up sitting there till about 6 o'clock. It was a wonderful, wonderful evening. He was a wonderful player, but above all else, a wonderful guy. And I kind of think he embodied everything that was good about the Australian cricket team at that time. You know, he had his outside interests. I remember talking to him about his farming, and you know, and how whenever he got his salary check or got a bonus or whatever, he didn't put it in the bank. He invested in cows. He'd go and buy another cow, and And he was just such an interesting man. And yes, I think he would have played 140 Test matches. I think he'd still be playing for Australia now. I really believe he was that good. But above all, he was just a wonderful, wonderful young man.
Mickey, just a final one from me on Australia before we move beyond that. But you're talking before with South Africa about their, the review potentially lifting the lid on things that need to be sorted out to help the South African team more broadly. And I just wonder about the Australian team as well. Perhaps not going back to racial inequality, but more just within the team itself. Like, how much do you trace sandpaper and even the current Australian cricket team state of affairs back to the Argus review or even deeper? Do you still think that trend line in culture is still continuing in the Australian side?
Yeah, I do. I do, and I think I've got to choose my words quite carefully here. I think that Sandpaper Gate was an eventual byproduct of all the years before, and I think we talk about we talk about the entitlement perhaps and the will to win at all costs, and I think I definitely think that came through, and I do think it was a bubble that was going to burst at some point. I didn't think it was going to burst like that, to be honest, but I do think it was a bubble that burst. So I was really disappointed to see that and to see how that all unfolded. But by the same token, I'm really excited to see where Australian cricket's got to now, and I know there's the narrative around JL at the moment. I think JL has done a wonderful job post Sandpaper Gate to align those values and to align his thinking. And the Australian cricket team is full of wonderful players. It really is. The thing for that is always just keeping those players going in the right direction. And I'm still a firm believer in what Justin's doing, and I think he can get them to where they need to be without a doubt.
Let's move into your Pakistan coaching career. I was interested with Babar Azam, who's obviously got a lot of people got big raps on him. I mean, what are we looking at here with Babar Azam? Is he potential greatest ever player for Pakistan? Is he sort of just a very good player? Like, what's his sort of potential range?
Potentially greatest ever player for Pakistan, I think. He's amazing. I remember looking at him for the first time. It was the day I arrived in Lahore. He wasn't on our tour to England. We were leaving to go to England 2 days later, and he walked in to have a hit in the indoor centre. And I'll never forget just standing. I remember Grant Flower, our batting coach, said, "Come and have a look at this young boy. This guy I'm telling you can play." And I stood there for 10 minutes just watching him bat, his hands, the positions he got into. He just looked phenomenal. And with that, we got him straight into the next tour and played him in every game because I thought he was that good. And he took some time to particularly in Test cricket, to mature. But wow, he is just a wonderful, wonderful player. And he's a wonderful player in all conditions now. And I think that's something that can't be said of all subcontinent batsmen. But he's just a wonderful player now in all conditions. He's when Baba, put it this way, when I've got the TV on and Baba Azam walks out to bat, I drop everything and I sit and watch. I think he's that good.
Mickey, you would have noted with interest the recent episode of New Zealand pulling out of their Pakistan tour and now England. Rather than try and lead you one way or another with the question, how did you see it?
I just incredibly disappointed. Really, really incredibly disappointed because I know what Pakistan cricket have done to get international teams back into that country, and to see that. To see them going home or not touring is extremely disappointing, to be honest.
Can I ask you, just on that more broadly, Mickey, Ramesh Raja described New Zealand, England and Australia as a Western bloc, so I'm just going to use that term, right? But do you observe a lot of Western bloc people heading to Asian cricket, whether it's Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, just to sort of pick up a paycheck, without getting involved properly. I mean, in many ways, we're not cricket coaches, but we've started to do more work in Asia as well. And it strikes me as something that it's quite important to take the time to try and understand, connect, and engage rather than come and just drop in the way you think about cricket and then just get out of there. And we learn a lot in the YouTube comments especially. But, what does it mean to be part of cricket in Asia? And what do Western Bloc people need to understand?
First of all, they need to understand the culture. They need to understand the country they're going to. And the countries are all different. And I've had wonderful experience in Asia. The first thing I'll say is I don't think you've ever coached until you've coached in the subcontinent. The noise, the color, the excitement, the passion. There's so many words you can use. It's just unparalleled anywhere around the world. Unparalleled. The people are fanatic about cricket. So you've got to understand that first and foremost. And then, you've also got to understand that those environments are so totally different. I look at, I in my time as Australian coach, I sat on the Australian contracting, and I do the same. I did the same with Pakistan. I do the same with Sri Lanka. And the inequalities in the amount of money that the people are earning is just is ludicrous. And sometimes I do think I do get a feeling that it's a lot easier for the Western Bloc, if you like, to not tour those arees because financially it's got no impact on them. It doesn't impact them financially. Whereas for the subcontinent, okay, take India out the equation because that's a different animal altogether. But if your Pakistan boy, your Sri Lankan boy, your Bangladesh boy, they need that cricket. They want that cricket. The country needs that cricket in order to sustain grassroots cricket. It needs that money to get the television broadcasting rights. So if they don't get the TV, if they don't get the games, they don't get the TV. They don't get the money to sustain their structure or system it's just far bigger than the actual game. And I sometimes don't think the players quite understand what the implication is of not playing a games in the subcontinent.
It's interesting as well, that discrepancy with your current team, the Sri Lankan team. There's obviously that contract/pay dispute recently about the central contracts in Sri Lankan cricket, and you see the numbers, and essentially there are clubbies in Perth getting paid more than some Test cricketers in Sri Lanka. I mean, some of those players in Perth are quite good to be fair. They're good players, but how does that? I'm only guessing that you can answer this, but how does it make a Sri Lankan player feel when he's playing Test cricket? He's made it to the pinnacle of the sport in his country, and he's on essentially peanuts, really. I mean, and then how's that supposed to make him feel when he sees tours in Pakistan cancelled, or people don't want to come to Sri Lanka to play Test cricket because they want to play domestic cricket in Australia or whatever. I mean, how's that supposed to make that person feel? Yeah, look,
I think that's something we're certainly working through here at the moment. And the one thing that must be taken into consideration, I guess, is obviously living in Sri Lanka would be cheaper than living in Melbourne.
Sure.
But not as much as what the as what the contracts the difference in the contracts. I still see it though, and I see it with these players, and this is why I admire them so much. The Sri Lankan and Pakistan players, is for them, it's still about the pride of playing for their country, and I think that is the most important factor that any player can have. Is it's the old adage, grade cricket, we talk about playing for the cap all the time. These guys genuinely play for the cap. They genuinely play for the cap, and they play to represent their country, and to make their country, family, friends proud. And that goes beyond the money. The money is a byproduct of that. They know if they play well and they have success, the money will come. But it's not money before country. And sometimes I think perhaps that's gone out the game just a little bit in the Western Bloc.
Just on Sri Lanka as well, you've obviously got it's interesting that where Sri Lankan cricket is at the moment. You've got the big one against Namibia, Ireland and Netherlands coming up to qualify for the World Cup. I mean, it's quite a difference to literally winning the 50-over World Cup in 96, isn't it? But we were just talking off air before. Is 3-4 weeks before you play that first game against Namibia. I mean, what are the expectations of Sri Lanka? Obviously, first and foremost, make it to the event proper, if that's the right term. But what are the expectations of Sri Lanka in this tournament coming up?
Oh, look, the expectations haven't changed, and every day I go into the board, we're thinking about winning the World Cup, and the administrators have certainly told us that. I think we have to realise where Sri Lankan cricket is at the moment. We've gone down the route of we've got a lot of young players playing. We've gone down a kind of youth policy route. Particularly with our white ball team, our test team will still stay the same. You'll still see the Damuth Karunaratnes, the Saranga Lakmals, the Angelo Matthewses, the Dinesh Chandimals, perhaps. But in our white ball team, we needed an overhaul because Sri Lankan cricket for the last 7 years have just fallen back and back and back. And Sri Lankan cricket fell back using those players. So we came in and we've gone, well, if we're going to lose, we're going to lose with young players that we can bring on in hopefully 2 years' time. Are going to be very, very good and competing with the best in the world. So that's kind of the route we've taken. We beat South Africa in an ODI series a couple of weeks back, and that's the first time in 7 years that Sri Lanka have beaten a top 5 ranked ODI side. So that was great, and then we promptly got smashed in the 2020s. So it was a case of 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, and that's kind of where we sit at the moment. It's quite frustrating, but we have a clear plan, and I just hope they stick with us. I kind of think if we lose to Namibia, I don't think I'll be able to fulfill that plan because I think that might be my last time with Sri Lanka. But no, I'm comfortable. I'm confident that we've set the right platforms in place. Everything we've done here is good, and we're certainly on the right track. I look at this. It's almost a mini Pakistan, where Pakistan was when I came in. Pakistan certainly got a lot more talent, but the Sri Lankan team is very talented, but it's just going to take some time, and I hope we get the time to take them to where they need to be.
Mickey, this is the last one from me, and it's the question on everyone's lips. I mean, we've got to ask the hardcore grade cricket question, especially while you're here. And you may not have been asked this before. If you have, that's quite frightening. But can you compare and contrast showering cultures between countries after play? So, like, which country is most eager to tub? And which is least? I just figure you're the only person who can really answer this. So it needs to be asked, and a lot of people will be thinking this. And also, has it changed through the generations? Tubbing culture.
It has changed through the generations. I tell you what's changed through the generations is the beers that come into the dressing room after the game. Yeah. That's certainly changed with generations. I remember with South Africa right at the start, it used to be good, and then we used to all have a beer at the end of the day, and everybody showered and got changed into their clothes, and then enjoyed a beer. And then that got more and more outdated, and when that got more and more outdated, potentially the boys didn't shower and didn't have a beer and couldn't wait to get back to the hotel as quick as they could. And that was kind of what happened with Australia. There were some times where everybody have a shower and a couple of beers. But then there were other times where the boys just couldn't wait to get back to the hotel. So it was a case of almost no showering, jump in the bus, and we'll get back there, and the boys would shower back at the hotel. Wow. Subcontinent teams regular showers. Pakistan boys shower a hell of a lot.
Really?
And the interesting thing with that was Pakistan and the Sri Lankan boys. But there's no nudity at all in the shower, so they'll always shower with their tights on.
Yeah.
Which is a different culture to the big Australian and South African boys who like like flaunting it just a little bit, whereas in the subcontinent definitely not.
Like, how does it work? How does it work with coaches, Mickey? I mean, after that after the 4:38 game, like, you must have been first one in there. You must have been wanting a couple of beers straight in there with the coaches.
After that, I tell you what I do remember was almost a couple of our boys, including myself, almost being carried out of the Wanderers dressing room. No shower, a lot of beers down the hatchet for sure.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Mickey Arthur, that's all from us. So thanks so much. I say this every week, but you've given far more time than I pitched to you. So appreciate your generosity. Wishing you the best for the upcoming tournament. We will see you in the T20 World Cup after that as well. And thanks so much for shedding light on all the different international dressing rooms and cultures and the complexities within. I'm sure there's a much longer story for you as well. You still have to coach England and India, so you can get the full and the Windies and everyone
and also
else.
Namibia.
Yeah, Namibia as well. So we'll catch up with you after that.
All right, boys. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. As I say, I follow you guys religiously, so incredible. Thank you for having me on. It's been an honor for me.
Thanks very much to Mickey Arthur there. He goes, Manscaped are friends of ours. Not going to read the script this week. We've already done one script, but I'm going to read instead some correspondence.
Please.
A correspondence from a fan.
Please.
Hey, boys, don't really know what this is. Just wanted to let you know that my girlfriend bought the performance package and plow, inverted commas, for my birthday after I'd let her know previously that she could get a good amount off using your code. Birthday comes around, and I'm very pleased to find the whole kit and caboodle all worked way better than expected, especially the plow. I have Beta Soy Boy sensitive snowflake skin that any multi-blade razor just chews to shit. I figured out that safety razors were the way to go for me. I've had a few, never finding one that left me without a little bit of razor burn. I first used the plow, not expecting anything different, but it was fucking perfect. That shave I had no razor burn and the cleanest shave I've ever had. I've recommended and manscaped it to quite a few people. Who knew bald, doe-eyed father and lawyer turned internet micro-celebrity would lead me to saving my face through a bit of capitalism and half-hearted ad reads. Hope you can pass this on to prove your ads work or some shit. Cheers, boys. Love the pod.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, but glad you had a good shave. That's Manscaped. You can get all of that sort of shit if you go to manscaped.com. What is it? The Performance Package 4.0.
4.0.
Put in the code TGC. You're going to get 20% off. It's the best shave you've had. It's true. We wouldn't align with it unless we thought it's true.
That's fucking great review.
Escaping's good.
Don't use razors. Don't use scissors anymore. I've had enough.
Exactly.
Manscaped.com. Use the code TGC.
Just use it. It just works.
Hashtag AskTGC. Reese writes in. Hashtag AskTGC. I'm a Kiwi who was in Auckland during the Rugby World Cup final in 2011. There was pretty much a riot for a month, including police walking in a line, clearing the streets, and some guy trying to jump me outside Burger King on the busiest street in the country. If we had lost that evening, scenes would have been Euros with more meth addicts. Okay. We didn't riot in 2019 because cricket is nothing to us. That brings me to the T20 World Cup and Ashes in England. And Ashes in England. What would it take for a big gammon riot in Australia? Are these tournaments flashpoints? Sure. Fuck, there's a bit going on with the Kiwis. I mean, we call them skeletons, but that's layered in some toxic male Kiwi stuff, and I know you're nice, but I want to know what the levels are. Or do I?
Big gammon riots.
Big gammon riot.
When you're sort of blowing up, you're not happy.
Yeah. Isn't a gammon like a big ham?
Yeah, but you're all bloated and angry. It's a UK term.
Yeah, I played with a guy we used to call Gammon Head because his hair was just like that.
If you talk to an Aboriginal person, though, gammon means you're pretending.
Oh, really?
Fucking gammon.
Gammon.
And they'd see plenty of that in grade cricket.
Fucking oath. A couple of pretenders.
Gammon.
We're all gammons.
So I don't think it's a pretend riot. Are these tournaments flashpoints? Okay, T20 World Cup, there's nothing that could happen that would create a riot in Australia.
T20 World Cup?
No. No one's going to do anything. We'll just get angry.
People, okay.
People just be like, why haven't we won that?
100% is MCG Boxing Day. That's the entire audience of people who care about cricket in Australia. That's 100%, right? No, as an example.
Oh,
right?
I see. Got it.
So I'm going to ask you for a ratio.
Anyone who goes to the Boxing Day, you're
the only people outside of that. We have 100,000 cricket fans here.
I'll go with it.
Okay, so if that's 100%, what percentage cares about the T20 World Cup in Australia?
Well,
of cricket fans,
I don't think there'd be it'd be a negligible percentage that would riot, but there might be some other people who want to riot just for the sake of for just freedoms and stuff.
100%, yeah.
Bit of high vis on.
Are you guys riding? Yeah. I'll get me high vis. Got to buy it first, but
get your new high vis. In cricket, the riot gear would be whites.
You know,
what are these people doing? They're going to a wedding?
Have we said this before? Yeah, that he's baking some bread. Have we said this recently? Like, if someone in the dressing room, like a bowler, no, bowler's fine. Batter has new spikes.
Yeah,
that must be discussed in the dressing room.
Yeah.
It's very nervous opening your cricket bag up, your kit bag that you've got in the dressing room, and there's a brand new pair of spikes. And good luck with at least 9 people in that dressing room commenting on your new spikes.
Yeah.
Because you're not allowed to have them. So if you're protesting in your high vis,
because you've taken the time to go to the level of detail to replace and renew and refresh and improve your spike game.
So you've probably done a bit of research beforehand. You've gone through the catalogs. You looked online. You looked at who the players.
And they're always shiny gold, or silver,
it's glistening a little in the
Gets in your eyes.
in the new blue, like the 2021 blue. Like it's a different shade to 2020 blue because they got to sell some more stuff. Right? It's like kits. It's like kits for football jerseys.
Yeah, and it makes sense to actually ask questions about that because often the new spike consumer can't play straight.
Anything on the stumps.
Any ball that is on the basic trajectory of the stumps is still not really confidently dealt with.
No.
If you've taken the time that you took to drive to Greg Chappell Cricket Centre to get spikes, if you've taken the same amount of time working on using a full face of the bat and getting your head towards the ball, keeping your head, not cocking your head over because you're trying to get away from the ball because you're fundamentally afraid of it.
Yeah.
You might actually score runs. That's what you want to, but you think no spikes will do that.
Now I was one of the biggest candidates for the new chancellery in Germany. No, a new candidate for LBW. Just love LBW for fun.
Playing across.
Could have played LBW cricket for Australia.
Yep.
So anytime the ball was like in line with the stumps, immediately I had fear.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so than the short ball.
Right.
Which it just goes so quickly. But like anything on the stumps, I could watch the car crash happening towards me. That was my fear. New pair of spikes though. Oh yeah, off the pad's lovely.
Oh, at least you look good getting hit on the pads.
Fuck yeah.
You feel good. You wear new spikes in the ground and you can feel them actually dig in a little bit more. And it actually feels really uncomfortable, but it still feels good because it feels new.
You know when you get new shoes, like running shoes, and like there's a bit of spring in the step, you've literally got a bit of pep in the step.
I do know that.
Bit of Pep Guardiola in the step.
And then would there be riots if Australia lost the Ashes 5-0 here?
There would be riots if England don't come out at all. They cancel the Ashes.
Do you think there'd be riots? It takes a lot for normal Australians to riot.
Yeah.
We're very passive and very sort of much in agreement with authority.
If you lock us down for like 240 days, we'll have a look.
We'll write something online.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Or talk to a friend.
Write a fucking funny tweet.
Yeah, I'm really struggling. Is the government just exerting a bit more power over us than the rest of the world? What does that mean? I don't know. MasterChef's on. House price has gone up.
Hey, Travie got 100. Got a big daddy.
Got a daddy.
Travie
He's
got
bowling
a daddy.
himself a bit.
Yeah, having a bowl. Having a bowl there, Trav, aren't you?
Is Travis head in the room now?
Just keep thinking about when he was on the show last year. Then we're talking about Cummins' ball to Joe Root in the Ashes at Old Trafford, one of the greatest balls ever. Travis' head goes, wouldn't have happened if I'd take a hang of the ball before. Like a spoon catch to mid off. So I like him because he's a close personal friend.
He's a good fella.
He's a nice guy.
I don't know if he's got the inside running for 5. Anyway.
You don't reckon?
No.
But Australia want him.
Yeah, they want it.
Australia
they want it to work.
They want it to work, yeah.
There are a lot of players. That's the player I'd want to be in Australia. I'd want to be one of the earmarked players for whom, if it works, I get picked. Because there are players like that. You know, another player like that is Nick Maddinson. Heard that here first. They'll tell Nick Maddison every year, if you get runs, we'll pick you. It's just there's just guys that's like, no, I want it to work for you. It's like a self-reinforcing thing. Travis Head is one of those. You'd love to be one of those. It means you just look good.
Zach Crawley's one of those. Ollie Pope, another one.
Yeah.
They want it to work. Hasn't worked so far, really.
Want and need.
Yeah.
Want and need.
Want and need.
Yeah. I feel like before everything started getting really weird in Australian cricket, as in not playing, that like the inside rail was occupied by Moses.
Yeah, about a year ago. That's right. That's right.
I think going into South Africa, he was a good shot of playing 5.
Yep.
And what's changed since then? Nothing.
Well, he's played.
Everyone's older.
He's played white ball cricket and he didn't do any good.
But does a white ball
Yeah,
matter?
I think it does.
Really?
I think it does.
Travis Head hasn't played white ball either.
But
not playing helps you because
Travis
you
Head
haven't done
he was
badly.
the vice captain of the one-day
Yeah.
side at one point.
Yeah.
And now he's not even close
Well, that's
to the white
because
ball setup.
they wanted it.
They wanted
He was
him.
he captained a game or two as well. I
Did
think.
he?
Yeah, he might have got a gig. Replacing.
It goes a long way if you're a nice guy and also they want you.
There's a lot of candidates for 5. It's on. I think it's a big bat off on roads. So it's just whoever. Like if you hit 120 and you're in the running, you'll want to convert that
To daddy.
Daddy
double?
because there's a 2 in front of it instead of a 1.
That's a bigger number.
I know we joke about Shaun Marsh. He should never get a game again. But like, if England are bringing out a second string side,
He'd do a job.
he'd fucking probably score the most runs. His issue is against high quality bowling.
Yeah. Which they often play in test matches.
Often. But if England are bringing out their second or third stringers,
Cash in.
Shaun Marsh is as good a chance as anyone.
Do you reckon Mitch Marsh has a change? I think he's in it.
JL's coach.
Fucking oath, yeah.
And Mitch Marsh and Cam Green. But Mitch Marsh didn't play in the Shield game.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he's just gone to prepare for the T20 World Cup.
Okay, interesting.
So,
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Everyone's playing and no one's playing. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. If you want to join us on YouTube, we're back again just about every day. Also, patreon.com/Craig Cricket for the audio and hashtag AskTGC Fridays. You guys already know that. Thank you very much to Mickey Arthur. Thank you to Manscaped. Thank you to Budgie Smuggler, very dear friends. And thank you for the first time to T20 Stars. Thank you for you guys out there for watching and listening. We'll be back next week. Cheers.